Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a total reframe on how we actually look at exercise. For decades, we've basically viewed working out as just a way to burn off calories, or, let's be honest, look a certain way. But we are now in the era of Medicine 3.0. We're actively shifting away from just reacting to diseases after they happen and moving toward proactive, personalized health span extension. And in this new paradigm, exercise isn't just a workout, it is literally the ultimate data-driven preventative medicine. Specifically, we're going to look at the science of longevity and this foundational physiological state called Zone 2. If you're looking to increase not just your lifespan, but your health span, those vibrant, highly functional years where you actually feel good, well, this is the biochemical sweet spot you absolutely need to understand. Okay, let's dive straight into this, because this data completely upends how most of us view public health risks. On the left, we've got the mortality risk associated with smoking, a habit we all universally agree is incredibly deadly. But then look over on the right. This is the mortality risk for having poor cardiorespiratory fitness. The staggering reality here is that being highly unfit actually carries a greater risk of all-cause mortality than being a regular smoker. I mean, think about that. We spend billions trying to get people to quit smoking, which is obviously absolutely necessary, but we're kind of completely ignoring this systemic risk factor that is statistically even more dangerous to our longevity.
To put a hard number on that risk, being in the bottom 25% of cardiovascular fitness makes you nearly 4 times more likely to die over a given period than someone sitting in the top quartile. 4 times. In the world of preventative cardiometabolic science, finding any risk factor with a 4-fold hazard ratio is just massive. But look, this explainer isn't about doom and gloom. It's really about patient agency and 5P medicine. Because the good news is, there's a highly specific, targeted lifestyle intervention that directly addresses this vulnerability and actively shifts you right out of that high-risk category.
Section 1. Defining Zone 2, the Longevity Foundation.
So in endurance training, we typically break intensity down into 5 different heart rate zones. But Zone 2, it's not just some training pace for elite marathoners. It is literally the absolute foundation of your longevity protocol. Clinically speaking, Zone 2 is defined as the maximum level of aerobic effort you can maintain, where your body successfully matches lactate production with lactate clearance. Basically, when you exercise, your cells make lactate. If you push too hard, that lactate piles up in your blood, and you get that familiar burning sensation in your muscles. But in this exact aerobic sweet spot, your body clears out the lactate just as fast as it produces it. You stay in this steady, super efficient metabolic state. And this is exactly where the magic of cellular longevity happens.
Now, you don't need a PhD in exercise physiology to find this state. We can actually democratize this kind of precision medicine using something called the talk test. It's this highly accessible way for literally anyone to engage in their own risk assessment, starting right now. In Zone 2, your pace is strained, but you're still able to speak in full sentences. Say your phone rings, you can answer it and talk, but the person on the other end is definitely going to know you're exercising. And honestly, you probably just want them to shut up so you can breathe. You can converse, but you'd really rather not. If you're gasping and can't string a sentence together, you've gone too hard. You're accumulating lactate. But if you're chatting breezily without even taking an extra breath, actually, you're going too easy.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds the cellular science of aging.
So, why does staying in this specific metabolic zone matter so much to our long-term health? Well, we've got to peel back the onion a bit and look at what's actually happening inside our cells when we sustain this effort. It really all comes down to your mitochondria, the power plants of your cells. You simply cannot be metabolically healthy if you don't have healthy mitochondria. It's impossible. As we age, our mitochondria naturally get dysfunctional and die off, which basically accelerates aging and disease. But Zone 2 training acts as a direct cellular intervention. It triggers mitochondria biogenesis, which is a fancy way of saying the creation of brand new, highly efficient mitochondria. And simultaneously, it triggers mitophagy, destroying and recycling the old busted ones. By living in this zone, you are literally building a newer, better cellular engine with every single session.
And having this upgraded cellular engine leads to what scientists call metabolic flexibility. Research from experts in the field, like Dr. Iñigo San Millán, shows a frankly staggering difference when you compare elite athletes to people suffering from metabolic syndrome. A healthy, metabolically flexible body, like our athlete here, primarily burns fat for fuel during moderate exercise. But a metabolically unhealthy person is essentially locked. From the very first pedal stroke on a bike, their dysfunctional mitochondria just can't access those fat stores, so they have to rely entirely on burning glucose. Consistent Zone 2 training actually trains your body to unlock those fat stores and restores your natural metabolic flexibility.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why Zone 2 is such a massive tool for diabetes prevention and metabolic control.
During this specific exercise, your muscles experience an up to 100-fold increase in glucose absorption. They pull this off through the NMGU pathway. That's non-insulin-mediated glucose uptake. Think of your contracting muscles like a giant vacuum, just literally sucking glucose directly out of your bloodstream, completely bypassing the need for insulin. Since we know that chronically high blood sugar just destroys the heart, the brain, and the kidneys over time, firing up this pathway daily acts as an incredible proactive shield for your internal organs.
And hey, those protective effects, they extend directly to your brain, too. Sustained Zone 2 exercise dramatically increases cerebral blood flow, and that increased flow stimulates the production of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You can think of BDNF as like high-performance fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the survival of your existing neurons and actively encourages the growth of new synapses. Because it's so good at proactively building brain health and resilience, elevating your BDNF through steady-state cardio is now widely considered a cornerstone in modern Alzheimer's and dementia prevention protocols.
Section 3. Measuring your Zone 2 data. So we know the science is incredibly compelling, but Medicine 3.0 really relies on the 5 Ps, and a massive one is participatory. How do you actually participate and track this biochemical magic in your own daily life? Well, there are basically 3 tiers of tracking, going from zero equipment all the way to highly precise biomarker interpretation. First up is the talk test, which we just went over. Zero equipment needed, and your target is simply maintaining those strained sentences. The second method relies on heart rate. For this, you'll want a fitness watch or a chest strap, and you're targeting roughly 70 to 85% of your maximum heart rate. And then there's the third method. This is the gold standard used by elite athletes and longevity clinics, testing your blood lactate. That requires a portable finger prick meter, kind of similar to what a diabetic might use to check their blood sugar.
Now, if you choose to go with the heart rate method, which honestly is where most people find the absolute best balance of solid data and everyday convenience, a really great starting point is the Phil-Maffetone formula. It is incredibly simple. You just start with the number 180, you subtract your current age, whoa. The resulting number is your target maximum heart rate for your Zone 2 sessions. So if you're 50 years old, your target is 130 beats per minute. Now, if you're already highly fit and you've been training regularly for years, you can usually add about 5 to 10 beats to that number. But overall, it is an excellent, personalized, data-driven baseline.
So the crucial point here is, if you do decide to go all in for the absolute gold standard and use a portable lactate meter, this right here is the exact number you want to see. You are aiming for a blood lactate concentration of 1.7 to 2.0 millimoles. If you prick your finger during your session and the reading comes back at 2.5 or 3.0, you are pushing too hard. You've crossed the threshold and you're actually losing those specific mitochondrial benefits we talked about. You literally need to back off your pace until you settle right back into that 1.7 to 2.0 window. Section 4. System-wide Healthspan benefits.
Once you really dial in your specific metric, whether you're using the talk test, your heart rate, or a lactate meter, the long-term physical adaptations are just profound. If we zoom back out from the microscopic cellular data and look at how these mitochondrial upgrades actually rewrite your biological aging curve, one of the biggest macro benefits of consistent Zone 2 training is that it builds the massive aerobic foundation you need to improve your VO2 max. Now, your VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can utilize during intense exercise. And as you see here, having a strong VO2 max creates a nearly 4-fold difference in keeping you alive and thriving compared to folks in the bottom quartile. It is essentially your body's ultimate currency for longevity, and Zone 2 is exactly how you fund that bank account.
But check this out, because this is perhaps the most encouraging statistic in all of preventive medicine. You do not need to be an Olympian to see life-saving benefits from this. If you simply move from the bottom 25% of fitness, basically the completely sedentary category, to just below average fitness, you slash your mortality risk in half, a 50% drop. No joke, you don't need to be out there running ultramarathons. Just getting off the couch and doing 45 minutes of a brisk, strained conversation walk a few times a week fundamentally alters your trajectory.
Now, what's really interesting about this next point is how it completely shatters the myth that aging inevitably means a steep, unchangeable physical decline. Robert Marchand is just the ultimate proof of patient agency. He didn't just maintain his health, he actively built his Healthspan reserve, literally setting age group cycling records at 101 years old by using these exact targeted training protocols to boost his cardiovascular fitness. It emphatically proves that it is never, ever too late to start applying the principles of geroscience to your own body. Now, the source material for today's explainer does note that truly mastering these concepts takes a bit of structure and education.
They advocate for utilizing resources like the Human Design for Longevity course to fully optimize your approach. According to the source, programs like this really help you map out the specific protocols, like the exact duration and frequency of your sessions, and importantly, how to integrate this exercise with the other vital pillars, like nutritional biochemistry and sleep. It's really about moving away from just doing random workouts to creating a highly personalized, cohesive longevity program.
Which leaves us with this final, really vital question based on everything we've looked at today. Are you going to keep relying on the old paradigm of just reacting to disease only after it happens? Or are you ready to fully embrace Medicine 3.0 and train like an elite athlete of aging? The data is crystal clear. By simply finding your sweet spot, using that talk test, and actively building those mitochondria, you can take immediate, active control of your health span. The science is right there waiting for you. The rest, well, that's up to you.